Hello, 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 and welcome to today's episode of Her Talk Show. This podcast is dedicated to a growth mindset. You see, I believe that you know something that I don't know, and I also believe that I know something that you don't know. And the only way for each of us to rise in our knowings is to sit in a room and talk about all the things. For those of you that are new to this podcast and love inspirational content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow, like, and share. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. Let's jump right in.
We come to you every day with the best speakers, relationship coaches, spiritual mentors, trailblazers, business owners, authors, young hustlers, podcasters, entrepreneurs, fitness trainers, therapists, financial advisors, and more. We ask our guests one question. What do you know that I don't know? Get ready, because today's guest is about to change the way you view your world. This is Her Talk Show, hosted by Sabrina Victoria.
Joining us today for this episode of Her Talk Show, we have had over 500 women grace this stage, and we are adding another one to the list today. If you are watching us live, welcome. If you're watching us on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay wherever you're watching us at so we can send you some love. Either way, if you are watching this video, if you could do us a huge favor and share it so we can get more eyes and more ears on the awesome content we're going to be talking about today. Her Talk Show is here to inspire and have you thinking outside the box in no time. Today, we are speaking with an amazing woman named Sophie Lechner. After 25 years in corporate, Sophie now helps solopreneurs on a mission to find their audience on LinkedIn and engage with them so they can spread their message and grow their business. Over the last 19 years, her LinkedIn activity has led to international speaking engagements, podcast invitations, finding clients and partners, and a Forbes interview. She has created the magnet model to help solopreneurs build authentic relationships and propel their mission forward. Super excited to talk to you today. How are you, Sophie?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on, Victoria.
Yes,
Sabrina.
I so appreciate you being here. You know, I think that this is something a lot of us can lean in on. And I'm also just kind of excited to hear your thought process on jumping into a platform that maybe we're not engaging in. Like, we know we should be engaging in it, but we're not, we're like scared of it. So I'm kind of excited to see where this conversation leads us and to really help people recognize different ways of using LinkedIn. And then the importance of kind of like expanding a little bit and trying new platforms, because there might be a platform that better suits us and our business more than the one that we're in.
Yes, and I feel that way about Facebook, like not knowing, when you said not knowing a platform and needing to learn. I was seeing your story and I was like, I want to share it, but I don't know how to do that on Facebook. So it once in a while I get put back into the shoes of my own customers, like what they're feeling and experiencing, which is always very good to do, right? So yeah, I mean, platforms are all very different. And I just happen to love LinkedIn. I was on it. I believe it launched before Facebook even. I've been on LinkedIn since the beginning. And so I feel completely at home on LinkedIn, like I know where everything is. I'm super comfortable. And I have learned over the years, like all the different things you can do with LinkedIn. And I know that a lot of people don't know the platform and feel intimidated by it. And I also know that I can show them easily how to use it, so that's basically what I base my business on.
I love it. Why are you associating LinkedIn with your best friend?
It's like when it first came in, well, okay, so the reason it really resonates with me is I have a very international background. I'm half Pakistani, half French. I've always had, family all over the world, and my parents had friends all over the world. So seeing the richness of connection is something that's really sort of core to me. And so when LinkedIn came out, and I was at Pfizer, and I was in, a global marketing position at the time, and because by design. And when LinkedIn came out, I thought, my God, this is like a tool that somebody designed especially for me so that I could go and connect with people all over the world. And that's what it was for me. It was just a tool to play and go meet people, find exciting people. And that's what I've been doing for 20 years. And I just love it. So now I want to share that love with others.
I love that. So, what are the pointers? What are the goodness that we can expect? What are we missing
Mhm.
by not being on LinkedIn?
Yeah. So, LinkedIn to me is really a platform to have conversations. And I feel that there's a lot of chit chat going on in the world in general. There's a lot of chit chat going on Instagram and Facebook. And I feel that LinkedIn is really a place where you can go beyond the chit chat and really have in-depth conversations. And that's important in business because that's why I focus on solopreneurs on a mission. They are people who are have a mission, have a deeper thing that they want to talk to people about. So after the 2 minute chit chat, they're more comfortable just going into the deep content of what they want to discuss, and they want to, raise awareness of an issue or get people to realize that there's another way of seeing something that they might be, experiencing. So I feel that LinkedIn is really a perfect place to have these conversations, and yeah, so that's what I think is really different.
I love that. When you say solopreneurs that are on a mission,
Mhm.
what does that mean?
It's really so I narrowed this down from working with entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, small business owners. And I went back and sort of looked at who I really enjoyed working with the most and who I can help the best with having conversations and really going deep. And I came to realize that a number of things, like I really resonate with people who are passionate. I mean, you're super passionate about your business, about helping people grow their business. And I that just lights me up, right? So it makes me happier on a day-to-day basis. When you have a big mission, you are motivated, you are self-driven, but self-driven like you're mission driven, right? And this generosity of spirit and this passion you have translates into commitment and being able, like it I help people to get out of their own way. And so that's why I really love the solopreneur on a mission, because they have this big passion and they need to get this message out there. The solo part of it is that i I find that when you're a solopreneur, you have so many things you need to do, right? So you want to be in your zone of genius, but you also have to do all these things outside of that. And part of it is marketing. And so, and again, I find that LinkedIn is the best tool for a solopreneur because of all the things that you need to do in your business, a whole bunch of them you can do with LinkedIn. So it's kind of like, a platform where you can get your email, your CRM, like choosing a platform that can do a lot of the things that you need to do in your business. Similarly, so it's just like an analogy. Similarly, LinkedIn can help you do, refine your avatar, do your market research, do your content, have your conversations. Like you can do a lot of things with LinkedIn. So that's a long explanation for a short question.
I love it. I know that you have a system of sorts that you've created called the magnet model. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the magnet model is really focused on the central idea that instead of going, selling, pushing, getting your content out there, you want to be attracting. So that's
Mm.
the concept of the magnet. And what you want to do is it's really two major steps. Like you want to create your magnet. So that's your profile, your content, and then, of course, there's a whole bunch of pieces to it, but that's the core central idea is create your magnet, and then you want to activate your magnet. And the way you do that is through your content initially, but then engaging with other people on their content and having them then see your content. So it's kind of like this circular model around your magnet, and then getting into conversations. And that sort of snowballs and increases your magnet and the magnitude of it over time.
Fantastic. When you're saying a magnet, is that kind of like a value driven? So something that you're giving a value, or what would a magnet be
So,
considered for those that are listening?
yeah. So I do realize that using the word magnet gets people to confuse it with a lead magnet.
Yeah.
It's the same idea of attracting. So when I say your magnet, the magnet is you.
Mm,
You and your business
okay.
are the magnet, and you're attracting people to you. You're attracting your audience to you. And you know how a magnet has, two poles or whatever it's called. You attract and you
How?
repel. Yes, thank you. You also want to design your profile around being very clear so that the people who are not resonating with you are repelled, like they're not attracted to you. So that's what I mean by magnet. Is you are the magnet, and you're just attracting your audience to you by describing who you are in your profile in a certain compelling way, and with your content, and with you expressing your passion and what your message is, and sharing your message.
Fantastic. What are some examples of that?
Examples.
Like, how do you do it? How are you a magnet?
Yeah. So you want to really put your mission to the forefront, and that's one of the things that I've noticed people have a lot of difficulty with sometimes, is feeling that they need to put themselves front and center, and they find that difficult. So by putting your mission forward and your message, you're able to overcome this feeling of, oh, I don't want people to see me, kind of thing. So you share in your profile your mission, your big message, and then how you can help. So who you can help, how you can help them, um, and examples, like short testimonies and your story, and so that people really get a sense. Like if you look on LinkedIn, a lot of times you go to somebody's profile and it's like, okay, either there's nothing there, or there's something, but it's just very dry. It's like your resume. It's like it doesn't really do anything for you. And then other times you go to a profile and you really feel the person, like you sense who they are, what they're about, exactly who you can refer to them. That's what you want to do with your profile. So it's really have it be magnetic, like attract people.
Visually, and then also with the verbiage.
Yes. So the key part, so there's the things that you see first on a LinkedIn profile, which is the banner, the picture, the headline, which are very important to, set the stage, if you will. And then there's the about section. And when I work with my clients, I spend quite a bit of time working with them through the about section, because you need to distill down who you are, your story, your mission, your message, and a few testimonials into a very short and very emotional, strong, compelling text. You've only got 2,600 characters. That's not a lot. It's a couple paragraphs. So that's the main thing. Afterwards, you have your experience, things like that, but that's kind of less important. But those are the pieces that really will be your magnet, as well as your content.
Okay, so the about section should have, you named off a couple things. What were they?
So your mission, vision, like what's your big mission is, who you help, how you help them, what results you can get for them, Then you want to have your story. So you want to go into a little bit of detail of who your audience is. So, sort of call out maybe a list of the types of people they are. And then your story, a little bit of why you do what you do, and a couple testimonials short, of course, and then a call to action. And importantly, I think a lot of people make the mistake of having a call to action that's like, either go to my website, which is just very vague, or jump on a call with me. And that I find is a little bit too much of an ask. So I like to suggest that the call to action is, go look at this particular thing in my profile. So you're just taking them down a little bit of a rabbit hole, getting to know you, so you can have a featured section where you can have a ton of different things that you can send people to.
Got it. So staying in LinkedIn, the call to action would be to like go up to the featured section, for instance, or featured section. I think I have a featured section,
Yes.
right? And then like click on the one or the two boxes. There's usually like two things like front and center.
Yeah. And you can have lots more if you want, but yes, the featured is what's visible. You can have up to 3 visible, really up there.
Got it. And then as far as those 3 things or 2 things or whatever, or 1 thing, what would you suggest? What should they be putting up there?
Yeah. So exactly the point you made. I think it's important to keep people inside of LinkedIn as much as possible. So one thing that's great is always a video, because you get the feeling of the person right away. So a short video explaining what you do or offering a piece of, useful advice. If you have a lead magnet, then that's a great place to put it.
A lead magnet for like something you're selling. Like for instance, mine would be my mastermind, right?
Yes. Well, your mastermind is an offer. So you could put an offer there. Lead magnet is a free thing that you can download, or you can go watch a video, or, something that people need to sign up for that brings leads to you, basically.
Okay. So a lead magnet would be something free of value that you're just giving to them. That's probably the best one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the offer, which in my case would be her mastermind.
Yep.
Lead page, like my sales page.
Yeah, definitely. What was I going to say? Yes. So if you have a newsletter on LinkedIn, which I think is a great thing to do, you can have the subscription to your newsletter there in one of yours. So those would be 3 great, ways, because you also want to appeal to all kinds of learners, right? So you have visual learners, or people who are, just are attracted by video, and then you have people who prefer the written thing, and that newsletter would work for that.
Okay, so you could almost have both.
Oh yeah, I would definitely have
a video and then something written. This newsletter, I think you mentioned this before in our mastermind. What is the newsletter? How are you using that?
So basically, newsletter is simply something you can choose to put out. It's an article. So you can put it out every week or every month. It basically has a name, and a little banner. And you commit to some sort of frequency. And nothing happens if you don't follow that frequency, but it sets the intention. And you can make it whatever you want. So you can have a long written newsletter if that's sort of the style of your audience, if they're, readers of long form content. You can also you could do a newsletter on LinkedIn where you just put your podcasts, like all the podcasts of this latest week, or something like that. The benefit is that people can subscribe. So, then they automatically will see it when it comes out. And the first time when you create it, it sends an email to everybody who is in your network about the fact that you now have this newsletter, and so they can subscribe. So it's a great vehicle for people to follow you and, see your content regularly.
Can that newsletter be also could a blog and a newsletter be the same? Like I could write a newsletter and that could also be a
Yeah,
blog. Like you could
absolutely. Yeah.
repurpose is what I'm saying.
So a lot of people have a blog, and it's interesting because you feel like your website is such an important part of your toolkit, but only the people who come to your website will see your blog, right? Like, or even they might find it on with SEO through Google. But the thing with LinkedIn is that everybody has a chance to see it. There's a lot more people on LinkedIn than there are going to your website, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
By a huge scope. So so the thing with LinkedIn is that it has a huge visibility. So that's a huge benefit.
And then how do
yeah,
you
so
get people to see? Does it just go in as a post?
you share it with a post, but the newsletter stays there. So it's like always it's always present on LinkedIn. It's easy to find through your profile. And sorry, back to your question about the blog.
Oh.
You can take the content of your blog and post it as a newsletter on LinkedIn. Just for SEO to not get confused, just write this was from my blog and put the link to where that is. But definitely, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. If you write a blog regularly, why would you not have it as a newsletter on LinkedIn, for sure?
Yeah. Yeah, how do people find the newsletter? Does LinkedIn showcase it as a post? Like how do people see it?
So they can come across it as a post, because every time you post a newsletter issue, then there's a post that goes out, but they'll mostly find it through your profile,
Okay.
in the featured section.
Got it. And
Yeah.
you have to put your that week's new or day or whatever newsletter
Mhm.
in the featured section. You have to physically put it up there when you write.
Yeah, but you do that once. You just put the fact that you have a newsletter, and then people can click on it. They go to your newsletter and see whatever all the issues, like a blog.
Oh,
Yeah, and they subscribe once, and then they would be notified every time that you put out a newsletter article.
beautiful. Oh,
Yeah.
that is so interesting. Um, yeah, one of the issues that I have with LinkedIn is I write long form
Mhm.
1 to 2 times a month,
Mhm.
usually stories.
Okay.
And Facebook, I don't even know what the limit is, but I can write like an entire novel, I feel like, on
Mhm.
Facebook, and the whole thing will go up. LinkedIn, as you know, for a post has a very
Mhm.
small, so I have to like totally chop
Mm.
the entire post in order to get it up on LinkedIn. But the newsletter,
Yeah, you can put the whole
longer
thing. Yeah. Yeah, you can, whatever it is you're writing for Facebook right now, you can put on LinkedIn
as a
as a
newsletter.
newsletter. And then, of course, you can do all the chopping up and repurposing that you would do normally, right? With quotes and all those things for a post. But if you have long form content anywhere, then why not have it on LinkedIn as well? Get a lot of eyeballs to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So, as far as, I know that one of the things that you talk about a lot is the importance of creating more than just shallow, superficial relationships, but to actually create authentic relationships
Mhm.
inside this virtual world. Why do you think LinkedIn, I mean, you kind of touched on this already, but to reiterate, why do you think LinkedIn is an amazing catalyst for business owners to be able to create that real relationship? What's the difference?
So, to be honest, I can talk about LinkedIn much better than I can talk about Facebook, because I just haven't had that experience on Facebook. I find Facebook very kind of overwhelming to deal with, and I haven't really been able to get deep conversations going on Facebook. But I know that on LinkedIn, if you put out content that is thoughtful and thought provoking, you provide people with um, an insight into something, and you invite them to a conversation, then you can really have a lot of people sort of chiming in and giving their perspective, and really going in depth into that conversation and sharing how they view things. And since everybody sees all the comments, you're able to then connect with the people and get into a conversation, get into a DM. Or so I know that you can do all those things tactically on Facebook. I just find that the conversations that you have on LinkedIn are just really much more deep, and in my experience have been able to lead to business, all the things you mentioned in the beginning, right? All these um, for example, I had a business before this one, which was helping companies from abroad enter the US market. And I was able to connect with so many very experienced, like experts in various fields, and have them become the faculty for my program. I developed relationships that led to partnerships, people inviting me to speak in their country to whatever events they had. So it's really a place where there's a certain level of confidence, expertise, um, and relationship intention that I find is nowhere else.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So, as we are kind of wrapping up here a little bit, I'm wondering what your advice would be for somebody who's listening and they're like, okay, Sophie, I will log into LinkedIn. What are the top three things that that person should do immediately in order to create engagement and to get some good feel good feelings to keep them coming back? What's
Yep.
like what would create that momentum for them?
That is a great question, and not a question a lot of people have asked me actually. It's like, what are the first things you need to do to make yourself, put yourself out there? But it's yes, how do you get yourself to either fall in love or discover the platform? So I think the best thing would be to not just scroll through your feed, because that is not what you want to do, because you just like see a lot of random stuff and you'll just get bored and leave. What you want to do is go to the search field and put in a specific word that's really at the core of what you do, so that you're immediately plugged into the right topic. You can do a search word, or you can put in a hashtag, but just do a search a word, and click on enter, and then all these different filters will come up. So you do search all filters, and then you click on post. What that does is it'll give you all the posts on that particular keyword. And so you'll bypass all the junk and go straight to what's interesting to you. And then you find a couple of posts that you find interesting, and then see who's posting it and click on follow, and then comment on the post. And if you do this, let's say every day for a week, you comment on 4, 5, 6 posts, and you follow the people, you follow the hashtags that are in those posts that you find interesting. Now, these people, you're going to start seeing them in your feed. Those topics and hashtags you're going to start seeing in your feed. And so already it's going to start narrowing down and customizing your feed to what you find interesting. And you'll start engaging with people. And once you start engaging with people, that's when the fun starts. You can repost what they posted, for example, and then have others comment on what you've reposted. And now when you start to have these interactions with people and conversations and comments, and tag the poster so that they see your interaction, that's when it's fun, right? That's where you are able to have the relationships, and that's what that's what will get you going. And once you're hooked, call me and I'll show you all the other tricks.
Yes, what a great segue. So, You're saying to do this for a week.
I just said this randomly.
What do you think? What do you think is a good amount for real?
If you're really going to spend, if you want to really get a sense of it, I'd say spend a half hour twice a day for a week. I think that's a decent amount to put into something before you decide to commit to it. And if you do this, so search on a couple of words that are really interesting to you, follow the people. Yeah, I think you'll get a sense, and connecting with people and having, entering conversations is really the thing you want to be doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Absolutely great advice. So, a word that relates to something you're interested in, the same business that
Mm-hmm.
you're in, a
Yeah.
client, like your ideal client, what they would
Yeah.
be doing.
Yeah. You're going to have to
Search
kind
that.
of, yeah,
Yeah.
you're going to have to try it and, iterate a bit to find the right words that bring the posts that you find interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great advice. Because I think so often that's what we do. We just get on and we look and we're just like scrolling through random.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
But if you create the algorithm for
Mhm.
you,
Yes.
custom built,
Yes, exactly.
then it's a lot more appealing. Fantastic. That was 5 steps.
Yeah, and if there are a few people in your industry who you look up to and you enjoy what they write, what they say, then search for them, follow them. There's a little bell on the profile just below the banner.
Ring the
Ring
bell.
their bell. That means that everything they write will now come into your notifications panel, and that will help a lot as well.
Fantastic. Now, I want to ask, I think one of the stereotypes that LinkedIn has is, yes, business owners, but what if I don't sell? What if my avatar isn't business owners? What if I sell makeup for Mary Kay to consumer? So a lot of times people think LinkedIn is B2B. What is your thought on that?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. One, okay, there's several things. One is when somebody searches for your name, the first thing that's going to come up is your LinkedIn profile. So from a even passive standpoint, if you will, if you don't want to use LinkedIn, actively, at least you want to make sure that passively, if people see, they get a full picture of who you are, what you do. So just at the very least, make sure your profile really represents what you do, because if you don't, it's not neutral. It will give a negative impression, right? So it's important to just have your branding there so that it comes up. The other thing you can do is obviously just, post and share all the different things you're doing, the benefits and all of this. You can find, the people on LinkedIn are also people, right? So I use makeup as well, right? So there's that. But the other thing that's really important is to think about LinkedIn as a place where you can find, podcast hosts, but also partners. So look for the people who are, who have your audience, who are selling to your audience and have your audience as their audience. So, for example, makeup, your mastermind is all women, and so far it's mostly women who use makeup. So that's an audience. Now you want to narrow it down, etc. But finding partners and getting in conversations with them is the best shortcut for business. So that's a great usage of LinkedIn.
Fantastic and great points. We wear makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's the answer to the question.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you that are out there being like, I don't sell to businesses and business owners aren't my avatar, we're over here washing our hair, trying to lose weight, wearing makeup. We all wear shoes just like everybody else. 100%. I love it.
Just find where your audience is and go there. I mean, just because LinkedIn is great, in my opinion, for a lot of things, you also want to choose and not necessarily go for one platform or another based on your preference. You want to go there if your audience is there, right? So always focus on where your audience is. And I don't like to encourage people to be on too many platforms, right? So
I
if
agree.
your audience is on Facebook, you like Facebook, they like what's happening on Facebook, and you're getting clients, don't go to LinkedIn. Like, just
I
because
love
it's
that.
my thing doesn't mean it's for everyone. But it can be someplace you can find your clients. So just go
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
Let's
I think
go.
one of the things that I always appreciated about LinkedIn is I love just talking business. I like talking money strategy.
Mhm.
And so I know that I don't use LinkedIn the way that I should be using LinkedIn now more than ever. But I always just appreciated it because I knew that those are the type of, like, I like to be around those people. I love to jump
Mhm.
into conversations that are more around business. Not that I'm always
Mhm.
jumping into conversations, but even just reading, like learning from
Yes.
people on how to do the things. So
Mhm.
even if it's not necessarily your correct, you're not diving into to network and do all the things that we're talking about today. If you
Mhm.
are a business owner, just in general, maybe your client is on Facebook, but you are a business owner,
Mhm.
having LinkedIn as a tool so
Yeah.
you can get into the workshops, get into the free master classes, get in with these people who are doing similar things as you and
Mhm.
learn how they're doing it so that you can implement accordingly, I think is just as beneficial.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And as we were saying before, the joint venture partners, like the other people who are also trying to reach you the same audience, maybe with complementary products or services, it's a great place to do that.
Definitely. And then just making sure that it's set up appropriately, like Sophie was saying, with your about area, your
Mhm.
picture, your banner, making sure everything looks pristine, put
Exactly.
together, this
Yeah.
way that anybody that does stumble upon it sees you in a really good, awesome light.
Yeah.
So I want to ask Sophie, we have a ton of people watching live. I'm sure tons will be watching it on the replay. What exactly do you do? Who exactly do you help? Who should be reaching out to you?
Yeah, so if you are, or if you know anybody who is solopreneur or a small business or an author, coach, or consultant, and they want to expand their reach, they want to find their audience, they want to spread their message and grow their business, you can send them to me. The easiest way to find me is just plug my name into LinkedIn, and I will come right up. You can go to my website as well, and I help people to figure out all the things they need to do that, grow their audience, spread their message.
I love it. And then website, social media.
Yeah, so g2experience.org, the global growth experience.org, and yeah, and then LinkedIn, Sophie Lechner.
There we go. 100%. And what else? Why do you do what you do as we close up?
Yeah, so I was on LinkedIn for such a long time. I thought that everybody else was as well. It's like, when email came out, everybody got on email, right? So, but when the pandemic hit, everybody was, howling in pain, like, well, how am I going to do my business now? And I started offering to people, free coaching sessions, like, just I'll give you a session and help you out. And I discovered, to my great amazement, that a lot of people had all these misconceptions about LinkedIn. And long story short, after a few months of doing this, I realized, okay, if I want to help more people on a bigger scale, I have to turn this into a business, and that's what I did. Yeah, and
Yes.
I love it. I love it.
Yes. That is awesome. Well, I so appreciate you being here.
Thank
Fantastic value that I will be using myself. And, even me myself with my about section, I feel like my about section is pretty good, but I do not have a call to action
you. Mm-hmm.
in my about section, and I do not have testimonials
Mm-hmm.
in my
Yeah, we
about section.
can get together and hash it
Yeah.
out. I'll give
Something
you
that
a
I love.
review.
I've never even thought about. And I think that that is one of the awesome things about podcasting and sitting in a room and really listening to the way that other people are doing their life, doing their business, running, certain areas of their world. Is we think that we know things, and then we don't know all of the things. And just taking the time just to sit in on a conversation where somebody is sharing knowledge that they know can, catapult or pivot, your entire whatever it is in an entirely different direction just by implementing one or two extra things. So I so appreciate this. And you will see this. You will see all of this within the next couple of months. A newsletter. Yes.
I know you're an executor. You execute, you implement things, and that's one of the things that I love about you and the women in your mastermind. And talked about listening and learning and implementing. That's what I love about the mastermind as well.
Yes, thank you. Well, I so appreciate you being here, Sophie. For those of you listening live, listening on the replay, if you resonated with Sophie and all the goodness that she shared, make sure to find her on LinkedIn first. Her website is g2experience.org. It is right below her face area, and it's also in the description below wherever you're watching this at. Make sure you click follow, drop into her DMs, ask all of the questions. We love to make sure that we connect people here on this platform to make sure that we all continue to rise. Any closing thoughts, Sophie, as we close up?
Well, I love that you asked the question, what to do to see if LinkedIn is for you or not. I love that. So dip your toe, but yes, don't dip your toe randomly. Do the things that I mentioned, and so you'll connect with me. And in my featured section, there's a lot of tips and tricks, because you can have 3, but you can also have as many as you want. So I have 40 or 50 things in my featured section, which are all mini lessons on how to use LinkedIn. So, check that out, use it to help guide. But yeah, look if it's for you. And I think you'll like it.
I love it. Very, very cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on Her Talk Show. This community is expanding every single day and is filled with females who are striving to do better than they did yesterday. For those of you that are new to this podcast and love content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow, like, and share. If you have something to share with us and you would love to possibly be a guest on this podcast, check us out at hernation.life. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria, and I'm so grateful to be here sharing a platform that allows people to share their truth, inspire others. Make sure you do